What's going on, guys? It is Shmeet back here with another video. This is the most post-game reaction video you guys will ever get. The buzzer just went off in overtime, so I did watch most of this game, and I know for the other games it was me just giving my general opinions about who did good and who did bad. But today I watched probably, I'd say, a majority of it. To be specific, I watched like half of the first quarter, none of the second quarter, half of the third quarter, the whole fourth quarter, and then the overtime, which we had a pretty abysmal overtime. It was looking good in the first minute, but it just ended up into shit with bad. We'll get to the overtime. Let me give some opinions. I jotted down some notes just so I wouldn't be all over the place how I am in most of my videos. So in the first quarter, I wanted to point out, and I haven't mentioned this, mostly because I haven't been watching the majority of the games, but I would say that Mason Plumlee is a far better player than what we had in Cody Zeller last year. It took me, 5 games into the season to realize this, or 4 games into the season to realize this, but just his post moves in the first quarter, and even in the second half, his activity on defense is just far more superior. He's far more mobile than Cody Zeller and Bismack Biyombo. I haven't watched much of Cody Zeller in Portland. Maybe he just revolutionized his game in like half a season, but Plumlee is such a better player, and it shows that although we didn't get a Rashard Holmes in free agency, we didn't get a Miles Turner via trade, I think that we can function with Plumlee as our center. I know Nick Richards has his time, which I'll get to his time in the second half, primarily in the third quarter, but I think Plumlee, we're fine with Plumlee. I think he gives us as much mobility, and his rebound totals have been pretty good the first 4 games of the season, that we can function with Plumlee. Another player that I pointed out, especially in the first quarter, the first half, Kelly Oubre had 15 in the first half. His activity on defense was pretty good. We're going to talk about how he didn't really do that well in overtime, but his activity guarding Jaylen Brown in the first quarter, really is a good thing for our team. And I said this last video about how that free agent acquisition, the Charlotte Hornets aren't known for being this free agent destination, but for us to get Kelly Oubre, it says a lot, because he's not playing how he did last year in San Francisco, in the Oakland Warriors, or I don't know the specific town they play in, but he's not playing where he's shooting like 0% from 3. He's knocking down his open threes, and he did it in the first quarter. I saw where they just kept, I think he had 2 straight threes, a stretch of 2 straight threes where they were just leaving him open, and he really took advantage of that. It's good to have guys that when they get the open shot, they can make it. Unlike the Martin twins last season, unlike Cody Zeller, who didn't even shoot them, so it was just like a liability on the court on offense. But on to the second half, I wanted to point this out because throughout the whole game I was thinking this, and I was just thinking of a good way to sum this up. But I said it in this one sentence: Gordon Hayward is the most fundamentally sound player that I've ever seen in the NBA. He, on defense, offense, transition, he knows, this is speaking broadly for the most part. Obviously, he makes mistakes, but for the most part, he makes the right decision at the right time. He takes the right shots. He makes the right passes. He knows when to slow the game down, when to speed it up. We're not going to talk about, when he did the inbounds pass to Lamelo both times and Marcus Smart stole it both times. But regardless of that, he is just, I really believe he can do this on any team. Like if he played for the Lakers, he would be putting up the same stats. I really believe that. So that's my little spiel on Gordon Hayward. Although he did have some inbounds mistakes, I just thought, even though his stats are only 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists, just watching him just makes me think about that. Next little tidbit, I mentioned Nick Richards getting some PT. I think it was pretty quality minutes. How many minutes he had? I think 14. Yep, 14. 7 points in those 14 minutes. He was aggressive going and banging bodies down low, especially with Robert Williams. So props to him getting the minutes over Vernon Carey Jr. And we need those minutes. I know PJ Washington did not have any minutes. I didn't see him out there in the game that in the spurts that I watched, but was he injured? Oh, okay, he was. Okay. I was wondering why they gave the nod to Nick Richards over PJ Washington, but I did not see that PJ Washington was injured. That's on me. So going on, what else do I have? Jalen McDaniels. Coaches are putting a lot of trust on him. That's the first little tidbit I had. And then he really went off in the third quarter. He ended up with, how many points? 13 points in 22 minutes. He was knocking down threes, aggressive to the hole, getting the foul calls. The coaches are putting a lot of minutes into him. So for him to have production is really solid, because these are minutes that can be given to James Bouknight, Kai Jones off the bench, Vernon Carey, more minutes to Ish Smith. But no, the coaches are really trusting Jalen McDaniels' length, versatility, three-point, overall shot making, not only the three-point shot. They're putting a lot of minutes into him, so I would hope that he can really shine in those. And in the third quarter, I saw he was pretty good. The way I would describe him last season is just one word. That's raw. He was just super raw on defense and offense. He still has to catch up a little bit on defense, but I think if he still gets these minutes, maybe he can, be a consistent 3-and-D guy for us, who is, like his brother on the Timberwolves, Jaden McDaniels. He can be that guy for us, where he's just off the bench providing good minutes, which he did in this game. He was very aggressive, making big plays. I wanted to note our final lineup in the final 2 minutes was a little bit interesting. We had obviously Lamelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre, Miles Bridges, and Cody. I just thought that was interesting. I just wanted to put that out there, that they didn't roll with Jalen McDaniels. They let Cody Martin's defense roll in the final 2 minutes. I don't even think Cody Martin got the ball on offense in the final 2 minutes. But on to overtime, where we kept it close. I mean, the final score, we lost by 11, but we kept it close in overtime. They got 4 straight points to start the overtime. We made it back. Lamelo hit a 3. Miles Bridges was making tough shots, attacking. Lamelo got a tough, was attacking hard to the basket. But then there was also miscommunications on defense. The Jaylen Brown poster, which I'll see on Bleacher Report House highlights, just because it was on another dunker in Miles Bridges. A lot of miscommunication with Kelly Oubre in the overtime, and really just our inbounds, where I have to give a huge shout out to Marcus Smart. I don't know why we tried obviously we wanted to get the ball in LaMelo's hands. He's our young star. He makes tough shots. He's proven to be a pretty good three-point shooter. I think he's still over 40% from three. At least he was coming into this game. He was either 45% from three or 50% from three. I forget what it is. We were trying to get the ball in his hands at the end of the game and at the end of overtime. Both times, Marcus Smart steals the ball. And by the second time, I was like, why are, even the commentators, I was listening to the Boston broadcast, they were even saying, why are you trying to give it, to LaMelo Ball when Marcus Smart is guarding him? Because Marcus Smart is one of the most underrated defenders in the league. He gets steals for a reason, and he got steals in the post against Nick Richards, where we tried to, dish it into Nick Richards, and he just swooped around him, got the steal. And he got 2 crucial steals in the final minutes of both regulation and overtime to finish out the game. And big shout out to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. One of the most of the critics say that they don't work together. They, one has a good game, one has an off game. They can never have a good game at the same time. Well, today they combined for 71 points out of the 140. So pretty good games. Did not see much of Jabari Parker. He got put up 13. One little tidbit I saw, because I was watching a Celtics game previous to us playing them, that Peyton Pritchard is not playing at all. And for a guy who went off in Summer League, went off in the Drew League or whatever, even though that Nate Robinson is going off in the Drew League, but he's getting 14 points, 14 minutes, 3 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. I like Peyton Pritchard. He was probably a top 10 rookie last season, and I don't know. They're just not playing him. Their free agent acquisition, Josh Richardson, put up a whopping 0 points in 15 minutes. But I can't really judge too much on their rotations, their team, because they did beat us in overtime. So, that's the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.